So, hello and welcome, everyone. I believe we shall start. Other attendees could join us later. Thank you for joining me today. I would like to share with you the practice that we are using currently in my company. I'm a senior QA engineer at Ariel. This releases and sprints planning process is not an exclusive for our company. It also used in another company, in another team, and it recommends itself as quite useful thing, and I would like to share it with you today. Generally, we will cover science of bad planning, goals and principles of my system, its description, and I will let myself to give you an advice how to implement it in your team, in your company. Let's start with the science of bad planning. Delay by more than 20% in the performance. This is a pretty common thing in IT industry that, and most of us already get used to it, that the task is not done before the deadline, which is bad and really sad. It leads to the idea that we are and your team always in rush. You think that you are always in rush, that you underperform, and the team thinks that you underperform, and from a project management or manager side, they think that you underperform because you don't provide the result in time. Permanent postponements of the tasks. This is also a pretty broad behavior for any kind of software development or hardware development. It's a situation when the nearly half of your task in sprints move to the next sprints because you just didn't finish them. The reasons for that could be various. It starts with a bad task separation. So you basically took to the sprints too broad or too big task that could not be done in one sprint, and you need just to separate to a smaller one, or it's just bad planning and you took to sprint too much. Implementation of the plan in advice. This is pretty rare, but it's also not great. That means that you play on a safe side too much, that you underestimate your performance or performance of your team or your team skills. This could lead to management thing that you provide too little result with your resources and with your time estimations. They always will want more from you, and that's also a bad thing. It's a sign of bad planning. Underload of employees, underload of the whole team because you don't have a strict plan what to do, or underload of some specific employee, even one on the team. That's also a bad planning, and it shows that maybe you could use this resource for something else to simplify the job for your team in other areas, or it could be a sign of bad planning that you just forget to plan for this particular employee the task that he should address. Constant rescheduling of tasks. That's a statement states from of a constant deadline moving. So you move it forward again and again and again. That is a very very bad thing from management side, because there is a huge difference between team or manager who provide result in time and according to the roadmap, and the team who set an ambitious goal for them but cannot follow it. And it's a huge difference between these two teams or managers, and the management itself always want predicted results in predicted time. That's the ultimate thing and ultimate goal for any manager, I believe. Lack of time for internal improvements. This is pretty common thing, and this is a pretty common thing for teams where management or project manager or product manager force you to implement new features more and more and more and again, and you completely forgot about bug fixes, retrospective technical depth, and so on. It will lead, or it could lead to the situation where at some point team will need to allocate significant amount of time to support of the project, to support things, which is correlate with the product development, but it's not the main purpose of your team, of any development team, because if you spend 30% of time on support, that's that means that your product is not on a great state, and you definitely need to address it to solve this issue. Permanent and long-term overtime. We're working in a competitive industry. IT is a very competitive industry, any kind of IT. And overtime is a pretty common thing for most of us, but in a long term, it's not normal. It may lead to problems with the team, the burnout of team members, or what is worse, for the whole team, and constant feeling that they don't perform well enough and they cannot provide result in time will definitely lead to the burnout in the long term, which we want to avoid or to escape, of course. What goals I pursue with this system? First of all, it's a transparency for business and team members. As I said before, for business, the ideal team or ideal product manager should provide a result, an expected result, an expected timeline, or according to the roadmap. That's the perfect situation for any kind of business, because they know what they will get and when they will get, and with that they can sell it in advance. They can do some expectations of product development and so on. And transparency for team members is also very important. It's not a very rare situation where some of the team members just even don't know why they're performing some tasks, and you want to avoid it in any cost, because employee who don't know the reasons for it or that stands behind this task will not do it with passion. It's a completely another story when teamwork with a passion and without. I believe everyone knows that in their experience. I believe that transparency for team members is very important for any team, for any kind of project. Creation of release roadmap. Roadmap is a thing that help not only to business, not only to team, but it also help to you. It could be as a vector of development. You will always know what you want to do. You don't need to remember about it. You could just put it on a spreadsheet or anything else to see your future plans, and you may fit a new features and new business requests into this roadmap and coordinate. And you may discuss with the business new features and new requests based on this roadmap. This roadmap will help you significantly. I'm always suggest to plan in advance and create a release roadmap for your project. Even if it's a startup, I believe you could do this at least for 3 months or a quarter of a year, not for 6 or 4 years. For some projects, it might be too long, but for 3 months, it could be done for almost any project, I believe. Also, as a QA engineer, I always want and I pursue the goal to overall product improvement. And with this planning system, I wanted to solve the issue when in sprints, in a development sprints, in a QA sprints, or in a general sprint, if you use only one sprint for yourself, there is only product-related tasks. So it's a new feature development or reworking on the old feature, and you are just completely missing technical debt, bugs, any other issues. You're completely missing the teaching process, for example, to hand over some of the routine to the first line of support or second line of support from your development team or from yourself, that should not be missed. And this process take it into consideration, these kind of tasks. Reduce the involvement of all team members in planning. I saw myself, in my experience, I had this not a great experience when the team had a, let's say, a long session of planning with everyone, literally with every team member. They just have a 2 hours meeting. It could be online or offline, with every team member to plan your work, to set sprints, goals, and allocate tasks to the sprints, to decompose tasks during this planning event, which is also bad. And it could lead to the inefficiency, first of all, because obviously not everyone interested in this process, and human beings may lost on their focus and their attention to the what's going on after 45 minutes or 1 hour. That's why 2 hours meeting is almost useless from my point of view. And if you had this, or you have this, I'm pretty sure that you had a behavior from the team members that just most of them sit in silence and don't speak at all. They just listen. At best, they do their main tasks, or they just check a social media, which is the worst scenario in this case. Increase awareness and control by lease of technical debt. This process is also a way for quality assurance engineer or development team to provide and speak about technical debt in a useful way. For project manager, the statement, "we need to fix it because it will help us," is not always feasible. It's not always transparent. The development team should provide the reasons to fix it, or the reasons to do these changes that is not product related, or at best they need to provide expectation for what kind of benefit it will bring to the business, to the product, at best with money numbers. That works much better than everything else with the business or any kind of project management. And increasing transparency of issue management in Jira or any kind of similar system. It could be Monday.com, it could be Redmine, or anything else. I believe most of you have an experience with Jira right now or before. This is a common bug tracking system for IT world, I believe. The core principles of proposed plan system. Now we are going to the juicy part of it. The first thing is each release should include a number of sprints lasting 2 weeks. Well, then X is a number of sprints that were agreed by team members. Why, first of all, why I suggest 2 weeks? When you will discuss this, or if you will discuss this process with your team, you need to know and you need to understand what is the average time your team needs to perform task on each level of development. For instance, it could be analytics, aka system engineering, development, and quality assurance. After that, you may have an additional steps, but the core three stages of development is this. And you just need to ask yourself or ask leads, it will be best solution. Could we do most of our tasks in 1 week? If you want to cut your sprints to 1 week or not. I believe they will ask you about 2 weeks because this is a common thing. It's 10 working days. It doesn't mean that during these 10 working days, each employee will perform only a single task. That doesn't mean it at all, but it will simplify planning for you very much. What you also need to check with your team is how many sprints they would like to have before the release, or maybe before the milestone or the goal. How many sprints they need generally. Next statement that for each sprint you can plan only 70% of team member work time, and 30% is a reserve. This could be and shall be adjusted for your team specifically according to your situation and according to your state of development for your product, because on the late stages of development you will have less and less unplanned tasks. On the early stage you will have more of it, but for us 70% of a team member work time works well because we had these requests from business, this kind of new tasks every week, and we cannot, let's say, expect it. We can only build a process to work with it because business need to perform these tasks. We fully understand it, and we just create a process or modify a process to work with that. This is the reality. Business always want everything and yesterday, which is fine, but not very feasible or work not well for development team. The capacity must be calculated for each worker separately, and task must be assigned to a responsible person during the planning session. The first part of it just stands from the thing that you need to, before each planning, you just need to check for vacations, for sick leaves, for any kind of thing that decrease your total available work hours, and you need to plan tasks for each team member according the available work hours or work days. And it's good to assign to a responsible person during the planning session, also for yourself. At the end of the planning process, at the end of the week, you will clearly see who what will do. And team leads will also have this transparency, and they will also may answer your question, what Alex are doing right now? Is he very busy or not? Or could he perform an urgent task for me? You will have this information, which is very useful for any kind of project management or any kind of lead. Or even for your colleagues, they will always know who works on what. Epics, user story, or any other undefined entity with a long life cycle should not have a sprint at all, but should have a fixed version. Here we're touching the things that are more correlated with Jira, and overall my description of this planning system will be based on my Jira experience. But for those who doesn't know what is that or doesn't have a experience with the Jira, Epics is just issue type in Jira that could include several or not several, that could include tasks and any other activities. So it could be task or test execution, aka test running, and any kind of other activities or even bugs, just to link everything and know what is going on with this particular feature. You may call Epic as a feature and it will be completely useful. Sprint, I believe everyone know what is that. And fixed version is it's a release version in Jira. It's just a thing that separates your project errors, let's say. For a hardware project, it's common when you have fixed versions. It could be directly linked with the board version. It could be directly linked with anything else. For example, general version of product, alpha or 0.9, 0.99, 1.0. When you do a release or major changes, you switch the main version. Every task in Jira should be a part of an epic. This needs for transparency, because you want to know why you are doing this particular task, for what feature you are doing it. If it's not a feature, if it's a general bug fixes, you may have an epic with the bug fixes. If it's kind of a fix that require for tech debt, you may have this epic with a tech debt solution. All tasks shall be in Jira. If it doesn't relate to any kind of release or any kind of development activities, all tasks shall be in your issue or task tracking system, to have an opportunity to log time that people spend on that. It's very debatable and very discussable question. Should you log time or not? In companies, there is plenty of ways to do that, plenty of rules about that. But if you want to explore the real performance of your team and you want to know who perform better, who perform worse, or you want to know what team really capable of, probably this is one of the best metrics that you want to use. This is to ask your employees to log time in your bug tracking system, to know where your team spent time and what kind of tasks took most of your time. This is this could be very useful for you as well. Principles. Let's continue. Only bugs, tasks, and test executions can be a part of the sprint. As I said before, this is mostly for good burn down chart, to be honest. In Jira, who is familiar with that, there is plenty of benchmarks or charts that allow you to check how the things going on or how the sprint's development progressed, and in purpose to clear it up and provide a real picture of it, I strongly recommend to not include, as I said before, to not include to the sprints long-term entities such as epics or features. I suggest you to include to the sprints only bugs, tasks, and test executions, or in other words, entities that could be and should be done during the single sprint, to provide you a clear picture of what's done and what needs to be done. Every task should be estimated before adding to the sprint. This is the core thing. In general, most of the teams use two ways to estimate tasks. It's real hours, work hours, and it's any kind of things. It's points, chocolate bars, anything. Personally, I prefer work hours because this provides you a a clear picture how much you need to spend to perform or to develop a feature, and how much time any employee have in this for the next sprint, for example. But it also could be used with this abstract entities at the sprint points, let's say. Azure tickets should still be assigned to the responsible person after task resolution. This is just for transparency. And after the sprint, you may see who what done, basically, to see what kind of tasks people worked on during the sprint, and see which tasks was unplanned, what were planned, and you will clearly see the reason why tasks go some of the tasks got its way to the next sprint, if there will be so. For each subgroup, a separate fixed version of the backlog should be created. In this planning system, I strongly recommend, I suggest, to virtually separate your development team to the subgroups or subteams. In most of the team have these three entities: development, testing, and analytics, or system engineers or business. Basically, this is the main source of product-related requests or tasks for development team. And I suggest to separate it and create the separate backlog for each entity to have this opportunity for them to fulfill this backlog for them and to work on it, because a business part of the team always have a bunch of tasks to work on, to create the requirements for that, or to analyze it, to clarify the request itself. It's a pretty common thing, and their work is primarily is straightforward. They just pick what's urgent most. For development and testing and any other engineering employees, it's not very, say, rare when they want to improve something, to change something, to simplify life for them, or to simplify the development process. And this is the exact way for them to provide these tasks to the planning, or to raise it up, shout out about it, let's say. And the last point, that time spent on Jira tickets should be logged in Jira. It can be done by any member of the team, because we just want to, we don't want to harsh your team members or your team. We just want to get information. If lead will do it for them, it's also fine. Tasks are planned with the accuracy of half a day for most situations. This statement is a result from the common fear of the team, especially when you work with the work hours or work days. They will not have any kind of room to have a cup of coffee, let's say. It's amplified statement, but I suggest to plan with a half-day accuracy. If you want to plan some kind of small stuff, and there is a lot of small stuff for a particular employee, you may just have a overall support task in the planning for this kind of thing. It's absolutely fine. And if you know that the overall support will take a day for manager, for lead, and 4 hours or half a day each week, it's also will help you to track where your work time going. Also, what do this planning concept a little bit complex is advanced in the planning of advanced release version. And here I want to explain why I suggest this and why you may find it useful for yourself as well. Different streams or subgroups have a shift during the development process. So when your QA engineers working on a closed release, your development team, in a good way, should start develop the next release. And your business team or system engineers or analytics should start work on the next +2 release version already, or they should work on a few future tasks. And that is why you have a shift in development process. So let's say quality assurance engineer always lived a little bit in the past related to the development team. And in order to not get an underload for team and always have a task for them, I strongly recommend and I suggest to plan not only the closest release version, but the next one also, at least one sprint for that. It's obvious which tasks were not completed after previous release. That is why it's worth to do planning session after it. I recommend to plan your next session after a release finish. So basically, this will allow you to clearly know what was undone, what require rework, and what require additional fixes in your next fix version. That's why I recommend it, basically. And this approach allows you us to increase intervals between planning sessions. This is what I would like. What I like one of the most things from this planning process, that it allows you to do your planning sessions rarely, not I mean general big planning sessions with a sprints allocation, task allocation to sprints, all the stuff. You don't want to spend too much time on it, and you need to do this, but you don't need to do this every week, or you don't need to do this every 2 weeks. That's what I pursued. This is overall planning schema. Activities splits between 4 days a week. So we are looking for opportunity to finish our planning in 4 days. And we split it also our activities to offline or preparation or homework and online. It's a common thing when the people goes to meeting unprepared, basically. They just came there and to discuss things without a strict plan on their head or without any ideas, which is, from my point of view, is a waste of time in most situations. And you also need to do your homework. You always need to prepare for your meetings. It's a general advice. It's not only related to planning sessions, but for planning sessions, it's specifically important. That is why what I suggest during the Monday, every team lead or lead of a sub-team have a placeholder in a calendar, and you and project manager as well, to collect all tasks in Jira, to estimate it from their point of view, and add fixed version to each task. So basically, you create a list of tasks during the Monday. It's offline. You only have a placeholder in a calendar. Do not forget about it. The placeholder is a good advice for anyone who will be in charge of implementation of this process. Placeholder works very well. People just could forget about this kind of activities and this kind of job. So basically, you're collecting your tasks in a list and estimate it. If you work as a developer, you will estimate it from your point of view, how much time you need to develop it. If you're a QA engineer, you will estimate it from your point of view, how much time you will need to test it. And during this session on Monday, when you are alone and when you are calm and have a time to think about all of the tasks that you would like to do, you need to work with your own backlog. And when I say own backlog, I mean this sub-team backlog that we talked before. During this session, I recommend you to include tasks that you would like to perform for any reasons. It could be just interested for you, or it could be very useful for the project, but you will need to prove this on a planning session. So prepare your arguments. You also will have a time for that. And provide this list of the tasks and estimate the list of tasks. On the next day, when we're done with the first part, during Tuesday, we have a list of tasks from every sub-team and from yourself. Your list of tasks is already estimated from your point of view, and the other sub-teams need to estimate how much time will it take from them. Not every task will require a development resources, for example. It's normal, it's fine. You just don't need to mark it for them. But if it requires bug fixes or any kind of development resources, or it requires exploration from business or searching for something, you want to highlight it and you want to allow them to estimate this task for them. During Wednesday, you will have a first online or meeting with or offline meeting with the people. You need to set goals for each release that you will perform, that you will plan in advance. Allocate tasks to releases, only for releases. And you need to allocate it according to the available resources, aka available work hours or story points or sprint points or chocolate bars, whatever you call it. You just allocate it into, you fit your tasks into releases. You set to your task a fixed versions, let's say. And if you have a room for non-product related tasks, this is the point where you can talk with your sub-team leads and take tasks from their backlog or take tasks that they suggested. This allow you to know what they wanted, what the goals they would like to pursue, what they would like to achieve, and also this will be a clear way and debatable way and a process-driven way to close your bugs and to work on your bugs and work with your bug backlog and work on your technical debt, which is great, and sometimes people doesn't even imagine what's going on behind the process of feature development or business goals development. And Tuesday, you should have a 1 hour meeting, online or offline, but with people, to distribute the release tasks list to sprints. So you already have, at this point of time, you have a set of goals for each release that you will plan, and you have tasks in each release. And during the Tuesday session, you need to allocate these tasks to sprints according to the pipeline of development or task solving. So if this task requires some kind of work from first sub-team, analytic, or system engineers, it should be done in the first sprint, right? And if it's if this task require only development and QA and a small portion of QA, you may include it in the second sprint, and etc. So it depends on a task specific, and you want to do as many things as possible in a parallel. add sprint to the add sprint number to task and remove fixed version from the task. That is optional, to be honest. I suggest you to leave it there. And the Friday is your resolve day. At this point of time, at Friday, everything should be settled. You should have planned release versions. You should have planned sprints in this release version, and you have should have sprints that fulfilled by tasks. Let's talk briefly talk about each day. We introduce activity type, schedule activity type. As I said before, it's a placeholder or online or offline real meeting. For meeting, I suggest time from 15 minutes to 16 minutes, not extend this 60 minutes. If you need more time, I recommend to separate these sessions because, as I said before, human beings just can lose their focus and attention during the long sessions. We already covered, and the goal of the day 1 or Monday, collect all tasks using Jira for the next fixed version by sub-team members. So sub-team leads work closely with the team members, sub-team members, and get an idea what they would like to do. It doesn't mean that they need to work only their backlog. They also could create the tasks and include it to the backlog of the development team, for example, or for any other sub-team, to highlight any kind of issues or any kind of problems or challenges that team facing. During the day 2, activity type is still a placeholder. It's not a meeting. And the goal to review tasks of other sub-teams and estimate each task for yourself or for your team, how much time your sub-team need to perform it, or do you even need to spend your time on this task? During the Wednesday, on the all day 3, you should have your first online or offline meeting with the real people in calendar. As I said, 15, 30, 60 minutes, not more. Goal, plan fixed versions, the next fixed version and next +1, basically, to have this gap to do for development of analytics team in advance, to not have this gap in performance. Our last day of planning activities is Tuesday. Schedule activity type is a real meeting, from 30 to 60 minutes. Go plan all sprints for your fixed versions and allocate everything to finalize everything, basically. And what is very important, and probably I missed it a little bit, for the first sprint of the version next +1, you want to allocate tasks as well. It's a bare minimum what I recommend to do. So in reality, it will work like this. Your QA finish their tests, and you're happy to release, you'll do release. But your development team during this time should have tasks to work on already. That is why you need to plan a little bit in advance, and you need to plan at least first sprint of the N+ fixed version partially, or at least half of the sprint. This will allow you to keep this shift in a normal state. I mean, shift between the QA development and analytics work, and your team should work like a factory line. It's a non-stop process. Day 5, it's empty. I specifically didn't fulfill any kind of information here because on this day, everything should be settled, everything should be already done, and it's also a resource for self. Sometimes people have sick leaves or any kind of unplanned, unscheduled activities. And during this day, you need to finalize what needs to be done, or to help your teammates to fulfill or to plan their work accordingly, or even to do this for other sub-team if other sub-team lead or the higher professional in this team for some reason could not do this. Advices for implementation. The general advice, first of all, is to discuss it with your team and to discuss almost each section and each statement. Everyone should be agree with what we are doing and fully understand what's going on and why you want to achieve it. That's why you need to determine with the team the optimal sprint duration for your team and number of sprints, and now which are required for release. We talked about it before. Define the capacity of your team in story points or work days, and also if you didn't set the how you work with this with capacity of your team, you need to set it. It could be story points, sprint points, chocolate bars, or work days. Evaluate the amount of unplanned tasks that your team usually receive during a release, and use this as a reserve time. So basically, you need to ask them how much time they spend to unplanned tasks, and this number could be and shall be adjusted in future, but you may start with something big, for example, 30%. If they want it, and if they ask it, and if they need it, with time, it will be more clear for everyone how much time really spent on this kind of unplanned tasks with help of log, time logging, and with help of creating tasks that took focus from the team. I mean, to create tasks and include it into the sprint. Divide the team into sub-teams. The common rule is analytics or system engineers or anyone who provide you most of the requests or requirements of product, development, and QA. You may have additional sub-teams, some kind of production support team or production rollout, or anything else. That's up to you, and it could be and should be adjusted to your team specifically. Each team is unique and have a unique workflows. It's fine. It just needs to be done. Create a fixed version in Jira for a backlog of each sub-team. What we have talked before. This is the way how each sub-team could manage their backlog. Not only backlog, track, it's also just technical debt for development. It's technical debt optimization for QA, etc. Agree or find an agree or achieve an agreement with the team on which entities can be included in the fixed version and which not. That what we've talked in the first part of our meeting, and I strongly recommend to not include the entity with a long life cycle to the sprints in order to keep burn down chart clear and real, to be honest. Create a dashboard with topical tasks in Jira or another task tracker. Dashboard will work as a main thing for you and for your employee and for your team members. That should help them to understand what they need to address next. Present the concept to a team. Commit agreement in Confluence or wiki page, and this page should be always available for them. That will help you to discuss in future changes or any kind of situations about this planning process, and everyone may take a look at it once again and to see what's going on. It will be especially helpful during the first couple of planning weeks, because it's not always clear for sub-team leads or for team leads what they need to do, and they need to have this picture or explanation, description what they need to do during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Start working according to the new approach. That's the easiest and the hardest thing in this process implementation. With that, you will definitely do some adjustments and tuning to this process, and it's fine. Do not afraid it, and don't get despair if it will not be easier for the first time, especially. Let's wrap up. Transparent work is an equal to predictable result in a deadlines. It's transparent for business and for project management. Plan time for your unplanned tasks. That's what I highly recommend. Listen every team member of the team. Discuss. This could be done directly or could be done via your team leads or sub-team leads. Move activities out of meetings. Leads should come to planning meetings prepared. Do homework as much as possible. Do not get to the meetings unprepared. I strongly recommend it. It will benefit not only with this planning process, it will benefit you in any kind of activities. If you get to the meeting prepared and with ideas, it's always better than none. Work with the tasks, backlogs, check it, follow it, close tasks that are not need to be done anymore. Do not spend time of everyone to tasks that could be covered by several persons. That's the common thing in agile teams. That if you have a problem with the production environment, for example, project manager or anyone who in charge could just set up a meeting for the whole team and bring everyone there. And most of the time, you need 2 or 3 people to deal with the issue of the bug on the production server. You don't need everyone. I strongly recommend to not force content every team member for to cover any kind of issue, to solve any kind of task. Create a roadmap for your project for 3 or 6 months in advance. This will help you to keep an eye on what's going on and what needs to be done in future. And this also will be very helpful for your team to understand what they're working on. Okay, additional resources. To be honest, this presentation is not, it have a text form. You may check this QR code. It will lead you to HackerNon portal. There is an article that basically describes this process. I wrote it specifically to simplify. You may always get to this article and read it and check the specific things or to check what you need to do or how to work with that. Let's go to the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please free to ask. I see several questions in chat, and I see at least one question in a Q&A session. Okay, let's start with the Q&A session. May I know your thoughts on emergency sprint with emergency backlog when parallel request comes from business owner? Emergency sprint and or with emergency backlog? Guru, could you explain yourself? Maybe I'm just missing something. What do you mean with the emergency backlog? How emergency could be in backlog? I truly don't know, to be honest. If we don't Guru with us still, maybe he will get back later. Let's. Oh yeah, emergency Guru ask about emergency sprint. I just missed it. Okay, Raul, have a question. What about DevX tasks that may appear be needed? Should we include them on the sprint? Yes. Every task that appear and every task that was not planned normally should be included to the sprint. It will affect your sprint. It will affect the scope of the sprint. It will affect your burn down chart, but this will help you to estimate and evaluate how much time do you spend on this kind of unplanned tasks. Let's say this will serve you for that, and in future you can and you may plan less and have a more reserve for yourself for this kind of tasks, and have a better performance in the eyes of management. Any other questions so far? You may also ask me in a verbal form. I believe you should have this opportunity. You may see my links on the screen. Feel free to contact with me. Feel free to ask any questions that you would like. Feel free to just to connect with me if you would like to, or you're interested in. I also will be very happy to help you with your questions if you will have it in the future. And I also really ready to brainstorm with you about your specific issues or problems. And let's say what Raul asked. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about, Raul. Yeah. To have this gap for yourself, to work with this unplanned tasks. As I said, you cannot predict it, but you can build a process to work with it. And that's what we want to do. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all who were with me. I hope I helped you or bring something new to you, and maybe you will be able to try this process. Please be noticed that this kind of process and process development is not an exclusive responsibility or let's say privilege of a project manager or any kind of person in charge. You as a simple developer or team lead or QA engineer or analytic could also and should, I believe in it, you should work on the processes and shout out about ideas and discuss it. It should not only be on single person. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Maybe we will meet again. Thank you very much. Bye. Cheers.